Hey everyone, and welcome to today's explainer. We are going to be objectively decoding a massive, literally explosive shift in global power dynamics happening right now. We're looking at a strategy that could completely disrupt global trade, rewrite geographic leverage, and ultimately remake an entire continent. So, let's get right into it. Our source material kicks things off with a seriously provocative question. Is Ethiopia secretly building Africa's next empire right under our noses? We are examining a nation that is making rapid, highly calculated moves on the geopolitical chessboard. And the authors of our source argue that understanding this exact strategy is absolutely critical to understanding the future of the entire region. Okay, let's dive into this. We've got a clear playbook to get through today. First, Africa's shifting power balance. Second, dominating the Nile River. Third, the Red Sea maritime gamble. Fourth, leveraging new BRICS alliances. And finally, number 5, are we looking at a new continental giant? All right, Section 1, Africa's shifting power balance. Now, what's really interesting here is this drastic pivot highlighted by our source. For years, the international narrative was all about Ethiopia playing defense, right? It was focused on devastating domestic conflicts that just ate up massive resources and political capital. But recently, according to the authors, Addis Ababa has shifted completely to a bold strategy of regional hegemony. They aren't just managing crises at home anymore, they're looking outward, projecting strength, and actively demanding a leading role to shape the geopolitics of the entire Horn of Africa. So, how exactly are they pulling this off? Well, it all comes down to the environment they're operating in. Specifically, this concept of a multipolar world. Think of it as a fragmented global setup where you've got multiple competing powers creating a ton of friction. And here's the kicker. Emerging nations can actually exploit that friction to their advantage. The source points out that Ethiopia is doing exactly this, successfully balancing United States security interests against massive Chinese infrastructure investments. By playing different sides off one another, they maneuver into a position of incredible power without being totally checked by any single superpower. Our authors don't view this transformation as some random string of events. Oh no, it's laid out as 3 distinct, calculated, and consecutive moves in a high-stakes chess match designed to dismantle the old world order. Step 1, weaponize the Nile. Step 2, secure maritime access. And Step 3, enter BRICS. Let's break down how each of these tactical plays is actually executed. Moving to Section 2, dominating the Nile River. The source material really doesn't pull any punches here. They literally describe this strategy as weaponizing the Nile's flow to force the hands of rival powers. By controlling one of the continent's most vital water sources through massive infrastructure, specifically the multi-billion-dollar Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, or GERD, Ethiopia is exerting undeniable pressure on its downstream neighbors. The authors explain that nations like Egypt and Sudan rely almost entirely on the Nile for their agricultural survival and drinking water. So by controlling the tap, Ethiopia transforms basic physical geography into direct, hard-hitting diplomatic leverage. So the crucial point is that this heavily departs from traditional cooperative diplomacy in East Africa. Leveraging absolute dominance over water flow effectively forces rival powers to negotiate entirely on Ethiopia's terms. I mean, you can't exactly just walk away from the table when your vital water supply is at stake, right? Ultimately, the text notes this single maneuver forcefully shifts the entire regional balance of power. It's a clear play to dominate the volatile Horn of Africa, using the very lifeblood of the region as a primary bargaining chip. Next up, Section 3, the Red Sea maritime gamble. The source calls this a daring, calculated gamble for Red Sea maritime access to secure global Titan status. And you might be wondering, why should this matter to you? Well, the Red Sea is one of the busiest global trade arteries on the planet, handling a massive percentage of all international commerce. Securing a port here isn't just a local African matter. It directly impacts global supply chains, shipping lanes, and even the price of goods worldwide. The source highlights recent controversial moves, like a maritime access deal with the breakaway region of Somaliland. For a landlocked country, achieving sovereign, secure access to the open ocean is a profoundly bold geopolitical move that the authors say is absolutely essential for Addis Ababa's modern expansionist ambitions. And this brilliantly illustrates the author's next point. Ethiopia is literally rewriting the rules of sovereignty. This aggressive push for maritime access disrupts traditional borders, challenges long-held regional norms, and has deeply alarmed neighboring states. The source text suggests that by making deals with unrecognized territories, Ethiopia shows a willingness to completely bypass standard international conventions to achieve its strategic ends, which introduces massive volatility into an already fragile neighborhood. All right, moving on to Section 4, leveraging new BRICS alliances. The whole strategy culminates in outmaneuvering global superpowers with a highly strategic BRICS entry. By successfully locking in a seat alongside nations like Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, Ethiopia gains immense diplomatic leverage. This economic and political bloc acts as a substantial counterweight to traditional Western spheres of influence. The source emphasizes that this membership provides Addis Ababa with the financial and political backing it needs to challenge the old world order, ensuring they aren't standing alone on the global stage. Let's step back and see how this builds a comprehensive grand strategy. This BRICS membership beautifully exploits the friction of the multipolar world we defined earlier. According to our source, it actively outmaneuvers traditional global superpowers who might otherwise try to dictate Ethiopia's actions. The authors argue it helps dismantle the old world order and ultimately cements Ethiopia's status as a new continental giant. All these seemingly isolated pieces, the dam on the Nile, the ports on the Red Sea, the global alliances, they are locking together perfectly in the analysis provided. Which brings us to Section 5, a new continental giant? Our source points out that we are looking at an incredibly volatile mix here. On one hand, you have centuries of deep-rooted ancient rivalries and historical tensions. On the other, they are colliding directly with a highly aggressive, modern expansionist ambition. It is a precarious balancing act that creates immense friction. The analysis warns that when a rapidly growing power asserts itself so forcefully over vital resources and strategic maritime choke points, the resulting shockwaves are rarely ever contained within its own borders. So, as ancient rivalries collide with modern ambitions, what will be the true cost to Ethiopia's neighbors? The source text leaves us with this lingering challenge. It forces us to seriously consider the real-world human and geographic impact of this geopolitical chess match, as one nation strives for global titan status. Thank you for hanging out with me for this explainer, and keep questioning the rapidly changing map of our world. Catch you next time.